Hey everybody, it's Fun Day Sunday, Sunday, Fun Day, Fun Day, Sunday. Today is May 9th, Mother's Day, 2021. I just thought I'd read you something. I'm interested in comedy. I try to perform it. Sometimes it doesn't go so well, but that's funny in itself, isn't it? I did stand-up comedy for a very brief time in the late 90s, 99. And I had some success, and when I say success, I mean people laughed at me, so I guess that's success. Now this guy is Joe Franklin. He was on the air for a very long time in New York, WOR, pretty much Channel 9. For years and years, had his own talk show. Billy Crystal used to spoof him on Saturday Night Live and do a little funny thing, but I read something in this book. I bought this book a few years ago. It's just a biography of a bunch of comedians, just like a little brief blurbs about comedians back in the time. It was published in 1980, I want to say, 79. So now I've been kind of interested in comedy and ethnic humor for a long time. A lot of it's, has not worn very well. I'll think of one person, a comedian that did Jose Jimenez, funny guy. Hey Jose, this guy here, his name was Bill Dana, and he did these sort of ethnic stereotype of Latino guy named Jose Jimenez. Hey, I'm Jose Jimenez. It was funny. Everybody loved it back in Ed Sullivan's days, or in the 60s and whatnot. His nightclubs and everything else. But, obviously now we're going, this isn't too cool. Not to be a snowflake or anything, but it's not right. A lot of comedians did different ethnic stereotypes. I have some records that are fairly disturbing, but I wanted to read you one of the most popular ethnic stereotype shows, first on radio, then on television, was Amos and Andy. A lot of people cannot believe this, but it was one of the most popular radio shows on in the United States for a long time, voiced by two Caucasian actors. But I wanted to read you this from Joe Franklin's book. And I don't know, it just seems a little off. I mean, now I'm just thinking, with now we're kind of more aware of these things, but even back then, this book came out in 1979. It's not like it came out in 1879. Okay, here's the description of Amos and Andy. Thousands of comedians mine the vein of ethnic humor, but Amos and Andy struck the mother lode. It was estimated that fully 1/3 of the nation, coast to coast, dropped everything they were doing every weeknight from 7 to 7:15 and listened to them during their peak years, the early 30s. America's #1 show, Amos and Andy, on the radio. Funny stuff. Anyway, this phenomena was never equaled in any medium, although Milton Berle's Tuesday evening TV comedy hour in the late 40s came close. It was done not by particularly brilliant lines or sparkling situations, but by creating characters so vivid and distinctive that the audience could easily visualize and love them. Black historians and critics of limited vision have complained that the hustling Amos, the slow-witted Andy, and the scheming Kingfish were demeaning caricatures, stereotypes not reflecting reality. To say that is to disclose a lack of understanding of the American psyche. It was precisely this acceptance of the safely fictional blacks on radio that slowly prepared the ground for the acceptance of real blacks in the American cultural mainstream. Amos and Andy, as well as all of the other characters on the beloved radio show and later TV show, were creation of two white employees of a Chicago firm that specialized in staging amateur theatricals. Charles Cornell, born February 3rd, 1890 in Peoria, Illinois, which is where Richard Pryor was from, and Freeman Godson, born May 5th, 1899 in Richmond, Virginia, met in Durham, North Carolina. Here's a picture of these fine fellows doing their thing. In 1919, sent by their employers to stage a show for the Elks Club. Oh, that's a lot of fun. Hey. They liked working together, and by 1925 worked out a routine that they tried out on a Chicago radio station. The show lasted on radio until 1951, then switched to television, so it went even further than that. It was dropped after insistent harangues by rabid, self-appointed extremists in 1970, by which time it was being marketed as a syndicated program by CBS. So the show had been on the air in 1970, and I was still alive back then. That show was drummed off the air by people who were like, yeah, this isn't good. This isn't right. Yeah. So, when everyone says that racism had happened a long time ago, part of our popular culture. So here's the thing. In comedy, going back, way back to the 1800s and even before, probably to the Greek and Roman days, making fun of other people was a thing. And sometimes they got a little cruel. But here's another one. Okay, so here's Buddy Hackett. Ha ha, Buddy Hackett. Chinese rockin' egg roll. Chinese rockin' egg roll. Okay? The other side of this record is Ting Me a Tong, which I'm guessing is sing me a song in a Chinese dialect. That's kind of weird. Alright, here's another one. This is old. This goes back to the early 20th century. This is Walter C. Kelly, who's actually Grace Kelly's uncle. But he was in vaudeville, and he did a lot of dialects. Here's one called Darky Stories. You can imagine what that is. And here's one called Irish Stories. The funny thing about this disc is that the labels have been reversed. When they made this record back in the day, they put the wrong label on each side. So the Irish Stories is actually the Darky Stories, and the Darky Stories is the Irish Stories, which I believe is the first case of reverse discrimination that I've ever seen. Yeah, this is what comedy was. This is the Amos and Andy most popular radio show. It is humor. It is drawing on very broad stereotypes. But it, some of the Irish humor is offensive to me because I'm Irish. It's not offensive to me at all. Irish people assimilated into white culture. I know that sounds a little weird, but it's true. His father, Joe, was obsessed with assimilating into white culture. Amassed a lot of wealth through legal means and tried to buy his way into the white Protestant society. believe it or not. I tried. Okay, so here it is. This is Grace Kelly's uncle. His name was Walter C. Kelly, and this is Irish Stories. I just realized I just did some research on this record. This is Walter C. Kelly, Grace Kelly's uncle. He's a vaudeville performer. This is Irish Stories and Darky Stories, and like I said, the labels are reversed. Reverse discrimination. Ha ha ha. Anyway, this was recorded actually 100 years ago on May 19th, 1921. So we're approaching the 100th anniversary of this piece of thing. And when I say piece of thing, it's a little disturbing. It's a mockery of and a stereotypical ethnic dialogues that they did back in the day, even up until not long ago. Like you couldn't do like an imitation of a Chinese guy, like, "Hey, how you doing?" That is something that I saw in my lifetime not long ago. But it sure enough is not okay now, because we know, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. I don't know. And a lot of people are complaining that it's politically correct, but it's just plain old incorrect. This is weird. Get a load of this. 100 years ago. It might as well be yesterday.
At Old Point Comfort, Virginia, last summer, I happened by a little open ball field with a game going on between the colored help of two rival hotels there. A very bitterly contested game. I called out to a little sun-baked, bow-legged darky in right field. Said, "What's the score, son?" It's 34-0. I said, "They're giving you quite a beating." "And no, sir. We ain't been to bat yet." At Atchison, Kansas, a darky preacher complying with the state law appears before the mayor for a permit.